Hey everybody, welcome to a moment of clarity. Today I want to talk about how we are on the verge. We are in the shade, the shadow of an oncoming economic tsunami. I mean, it is going to be fucking awful. And it gets barely any talk on your mainstream media. I mean, I'm not saying they'll never cover how a lot of people are unemployed and stuff like that. They will. But this should be half of the segments. We are on the cusp of just something catastrophic. Here's one headline. Millions of Americans will fall off an income cliff when extra $600 in unemployment benefits ends next month. Now, that is in the mainstream media, right? It's on CNBC or whatever that was. But how often are you really hearing them repeat that over and over again? Like they're repeating that you should wear a mask. Like, this should be common sense that everybody is going to be struggling a lot soon. Your average people are going to be struggling a lot soon. Granted, they called it an income cliff. I called it a tsunami. I don't like when the metaphors don't match up, okay? I wish everybody would just get on my metaphor page. Okay, now we're on a page. Now that's the new metaphor. So there's a page of tsunamis coming after us, and it's going to knock us off the cliff. We're in a bit of a metaphor quagmire here. So now it's a quagmire. This metaphor is getting out of hand. Anyway, point is, this should be talked about endlessly. It should be covered in your mainstream media endlessly, and it's really not enough. We have millions upon millions of people unemployed right now. Some of you watching this may be some of them. It was up to 40 million. Now they're claiming that despite states beginning to reopen, roughly 21 million people are still unemployed. So they've downgraded the number to 21 million unemployed. I think that's a bullshit number. I don't think that's the actual. I think the actual unemployment is much higher than that. They don't count things such as people who have stopped looking for work because in their area they just feel fucked and they can't find a good job, so they just give up. Those don't count as unemployed any longer. So there's a fudging of the numbers that goes on. But so we're in a drastic economic times, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this, the $600 extra of unemployment that they had going will end at the end of July. When that happens, so many people are not going to be able to, because right now, you had the pandemic hit, and then a lot of people were unemployed, but they got a combination of the $1,200 breadcrumbs compared to what the big banks and the corporations got, and then the $600 extra on the unemployment checks and the unemployment checks. So you had those things really keeping people afloat, keeping them, okay, if we're afloat, then are we behind the tsunami or we're afloat in front of the tsunami? Okay, that's not good. You don't want to be floating in front of the tsunami. But it kept people afloat. And now all those things are ending. You know, several months from now, unemployment could end. If you end up in that situation, the $600 extra will end in a month. The $1,200 obviously will be exhausted soon. So you have this tsunami. Let's go back to back when we had our metaphors really on lock. Not on lock. Back when we had our metaphors really on level water field. Fuck. No good with metaphors. Even before the pandemic, something like 50-60% of Americans said they could not afford a $1,000 emergency, a $1,000 crisis without going into debt. Most Americans were already barely making ends meet. And then this shitstorm hit. Now it's a shitstorm. Then this shitstorm hit, and it's created a shitstorm tsunami. Yeah, now we got it. Right now, people have been coasting on unemployment, on the $1,200 breadcrumbs, on all that shit, and soon that's going to end. And when it does, it's going to be ugly. People are going to be desperate. People are going to lose so much of their lives. And it's tough to really understand what this does to people or where people end up. It destroys marriages. It destroys family. They're estimated to have been 10,000 suicides connected to the 2008 collapse. So people really do get hurt by this. And many corporations or rich people who specialize in being the douche du jour argue that some people don't want to get back to work because they're actually making more money on unemployment and various benefits than they were making at their job. jobs. It's estimated that around 40% of workers could potentially earn more while unemployed than going back to work, according to a recent analysis. And they claim it discourages the unemployed from going back to work. That's not the fault of the workers. They're acting like these fucking assholes are making more money on unemployment. They should get back to work is what they need to do and be American. No, what that means, you rich douche, is that people are being exploited way too much. If you could make more money on unemployment than you were making working, then it means your job fucking sucked and was exploiting you. And so really what this tells us is not that Americans are lazy or that Americans are greedy or that Americans don't like to work hard. It tells us that corporations and the richest in this country have effectively extracted the rights from workers, extracted our ability to demand more from our jobs, our ability to get paid correctly for the shit we're doing. And as I've said before, this is not how it needed to be. This is still not how it needs to be. In other countries, they've dealt with this better. I've mentioned Denmark before, where they still have an unemployment of around 4 or 5% because they actually paid to keep their people employed. You could do that here in America. You could do that by employing people and paying them well to rebuild our infrastructure that's fucking collapsing around us. Okay? I can't drive across a bridge without fearing for my life. How about you pay some goddamn Americans to fix the goddamn bridge? Fix the goddamn dam. How about that? Some cities are even trying to help their people in unique and innovative ways. If you actually wanted to help people, you could. In one small town in Washington State, the city of Tenino, they've started creating wooden money to get through the pandemic, and the money can only go to people who live in Tenino, and it can only be spent in Tenino. So therefore, it is a way to help people get through this tough time. It's even more interesting because they used wooden dollars, which is hilarious, but it's a great idea. It keeps the money in the community. You can go, and apparently you can go and say, hey, here's why I need money. Here's how the pandemic has impacted me. And then the city is giving people this city-specific funds to help get through this. The former president of the Chamber of Commerce there said the city could have given out debit cards or cash, but we don't know where that money is going to go. This is one of the ways we could keep the money here in the community. And the idea for this came from the mayor there, Wayne Fournier, who devised a plan to use the wooden currency, which the town had used back during the Great Depression, I believe. And I kind of love this guy, Wayne Fournier, because he initially gained local notoriety for a series of Banksy-styled guerrilla art in the community that took a jab at local leaders. So then after he revealed himself as the one behind the art, he gained local notoriety, became a little star of that town, and eventually became mayor. The Banksy of the city became mayor. How fucking cool is that? Yes, there should be more Banksy mayors. There should be more prankster mayors and more fucking crazy guerrilla art mayors and, people that do unique shit in the community. I don't even care if it's art I'm not into. I don't care if it's some, weird thing where you're covered in blood and you're trying to show the pain of, indigenous marsupials of certain areas of the world. Even if, that might not be my thing. But I say that person's going to be a better mayor than the fucking corporate-funded dickwad that becomes the mayor of most of these cities. So I'd say if you're doing that kind of stuff, get out there. Take over your town. Give out wooden dollars. Wooden dollars! Anyway, the main point here is that we are on the cusp of something really traumatic, really unique, really scary, a true economic crisis, the likes of which that we've probably never seen, and no one's dealing with it. Everyone knows Trump isn't up to dealing with it. Trump is only about greed. He's only about himself. He's only about sucking the wealth from your average American, which actually makes him the perfect analogy for the, there we go, we're back to analogies. The perfect analogy for the entirety of the American system. He is the embodiment of it. Fuck over everybody else, suck the wealth to the top. So Trump and his administration aren't up to handling this crisis, but neither are the corporate-funded Democrats or the most state officials. So there's no one driving this train, okay? There's no one driving this train with the tsunami coming at it while we're on the page, on the level playing field. Yeah. With a goddamn dam that's breaking down. That's not going to help us with the tsunami while we're on the train. Is it? While we go off the cliff? No. No, it's not. That's been your moment of clarity. Please sign up for the free email list because I'm censored the fuck out of my YouTube videos. They're suppressing all of our stuff. So please sign up to the free emails. Just text the word redacted to 33777. Also, I've been doing a lot of live streams where I get to interact with you, all comments, respond to your comments, respond to your topics, and you can find out when the next one is. They're all at youtube.com/moment of clarity. You can find out when the next one is by joining the email list. All right, keep fighting.